Hi, welcome to My Court Coach. I'm Jaylyn and I'll be your instructor as we talk about Form DV-145, Order No Travel with Children. This form is typically attached in case that you have a feeling or you know that their child is at risk for child abduction. So if you can show the court that there is a risk for child abduction, then the court will allow you to process this order and the court will sign off on it. So it says here that the form is attached to your DV-140, which is your child custody and visitation order. And remember, that child and custody and visitation order mirrors your child custody and visitation request. So the name of the protected person is one of the three parties: mom, dad, or other. Other parent can be mom, dad, or other. Other can be a legal guardian, for example. And then you have to state which parent might take the children, or if it's the legal guardian, that might take the children without the permission because that parent did one of the following. And you do have to check all that apply because it states right here the court finds. So if the court found your statements to be in your request for the domestic violence restraining order credible enough that they feel it's warranted to do a child abduction order. So no travel. So they've violated or threatened to violate a custody or visitation order in the past. They do not have strong ties to California. They've done things that make it easy for him and her or her to take the child without permission, like quitting their job, closing a bank account, sold or got rid of assets, applied for a passport, birth certificate, or school or medical records, sold their home, ended their lease, or hidden or destroyed documents, hid or destroyed documents. So if you check any one of those items on your request for the domestic violence restraining order child custody request, then those same line items should also be checked off here. And then if they have a history of domestic violence, child abuse, not cooperating with the other parent in parenting, and taking the children without permission. So if they have a history of any of those items, then the court can also find that you were credible in stating that and that they would go ahead and order the no travel with children. And then they might have a criminal records, or they have family or emotional ties to another country, state, or foreign country. So one of these boxes at least has to be checked in order for the court to even find that there is a risk for abduction. The more forms or the more boxes that you do have checked, the more likely that the court will grant you this request for no travel. If you're on the opposite end of this and you receive this and you've been doing any one of these actions, then the court is looking at that with strict scrutiny, because it is odd that the other party would feel that their child is at risk for abduction, especially if, for example, you do have a history of taking the children without permission. I mean, if the party checked that off and then you start to slowly do this and also send messages to the other party stating that you are going to never have the other party see the children again, that is, of course, a scary thought for the other parent. And the fact that you're taking these other measures to do it, the court takes that very strictly, and they will in fact enforce this no travel with the children. So you can even cross the border to go to Mexico, for example, even if you were just going there for the day and coming back. So you will have an opportunity, of course, to object to these findings at your restraining order hearing. But in the meantime, that's what the court found based off of the information presented to it at the time of receiving the request for the domestic violence restraining order. So the court is now going to order, as checked below, to prevent the parent in 3 from taking the children without permission. These orders are valid in other states and any other country that has signed the Hague Convention on the civil aspects of international child abduction. So they have to post a bond. So the purpose of that bond is if you do in fact take the children to Mexico, for example, and the other parent has to expend funds to grab the children in Mexico, then those funds will be reimbursed to him or her through a bond. Do not move without written permission of the other parent or court order. So the parent in 3 must not move the children outside of this county or California, the United States, or any other place that you had requested that the other party doesn't move the children without written permission. And it says without written permission from the parent or court order. You do not travel without the permission of the other person or court order. So you can list the county, the state, or the US, or whatever you think is appropriate. Notify other state of travel restrictions. So the parent must register this order in the state of wherever you're at before the children can travel to that state for a visit. So if you lived in Texas, for example, then you would have to register this order for Texas if you still wanted your children to travel to Texas, so that the authorities out there could assist in case you do not return the children. Turn in and do not apply for passports or other vital records. So you can't apply for passports, birth certificates, visas, or anything like that could be used for travel and must be turned in. And you can turn those in to the other party, the court, your attorney, their attorney, and that would suffice to comply with the no travel with children order. And then they have to provide the itinerary or other travel documents to the other parent before traveling with the children. So children's travel itinerary, copies of round-trip airline tickets, addresses and telephone number where the children can be reached, an open airline ticket for the other parent in case the children are not returned, or another sort of way to disclose the travel documents that must be released before traveling with the children, then that could also be listed. And again, this has to mirror the request for custody and visitation in your restraining order. And then notify the foreign embassy or consulate of passport restrictions. So they must notify the embassy or consulate of, for example, Mexico of this order and provide the court with proof of that notification with X amount of calendar days. Foreign custody and visitation order. The parent in 3 must get a foreign custody and visitation order equal to the most recent U.S. order before the children can travel to that country for visits. The court recognizes that foreign orders may be changed or enforced depending on the laws of that country. So if you wanted to travel with the children to Italy, for example, then you would have to register these orders with them and make sure that those orders mirror the orders that are in your restraining order matter. And then enforcing the order, the court authorizes any law enforcement officer to enforce this order in this country, contact the child abduction unit of the Office of the District Attorney at, and then you would list your local district attorney contact information. And then any other orders that would help alleviate your concerns about the children's risk of being abducted so that the other parent can still, in fact, see the children, but there's all these conditions, and no traveling is a huge part of it. And if they are allowed to travel, then they have to meet even more conditions. So this also allows for authorities in other states and countries to know that this is a child custody and visitation order under the California Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act and the Hague Convention on the Civil Aspects of International Child Abduction. If jurisdiction is based on other factors, they'll be listed in paragraph 13 above, and it would be listed here. So this is how you would complete the order for no travel with children. This is attached to only a restraining order request, and it would be then later on attached to your child custody and visitation order. And we hope that you have found this helpful, and best of luck.